Hello, welcome to the Chicago Transit Authority Diversity Program's Road to Excellence DBE certification presentation. Today, we'll be discussing the steps to becoming DBE certified. Within this presentation, we'll talk about the DBE program, eligibility criteria, required documentation, the certification process, and what to do once you're certified. What is the DBE program? DBE stands for Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. The DBE program is governed by the United States Department of Transportation, or US DOT for short, 49 CFR Part 26, and seeks to achieve several objectives: to ensure the non-discrimination in the award and administration of DOT-assisted contracts for highway, transit, and airport programs, create a level playing field on which DBEs can compete fairly for DOT-assisted contracts, help eliminate barriers to participation of DBE firms in DOT-assisted contracts, and promote the use of DBEs in all types of federally assisted contracts and procurement activities conducted by recipients. What is the eligibility criteria for DBE certification? The business must be 51% owned and controlled by a socially and economically disadvantaged individual. Social disadvantage is defined as a United States citizen or lawfully admitted permanent resident who are women, African American, Hispanic American, Native American, Asian Pacific American, or subcontinent Asian American. Economic disadvantage is defined as firms are subject to these applicable small business size standards. An individual claiming social and economic disadvantage, personal net worth cannot exceed $1.32 million. What is a small business concern?
A small business concern is an existing small business that is subject to applicable small business size standards as defined by the Small Business Administration, or SBA for short. To be an eligible DBE, the firm's 3-year average annual gross receipts, including any affiliates, cannot exceed $28.48 million. The firm also cannot exceed the North American Industry Classification System, or NAICS code, based on the firm's primary business activity using the firm's 5-year average annual gross receipt calculation.
Required documents for DBE certification. Included in the application are a list of documents needed to be provided in supplement to the application. Those include a resume for each owner claiming social and economic disadvantage, personal net worth statement for each owner claiming social and economic disadvantage, personal tax returns of each owner claiming social and economic disadvantage, federal tax returns for the primary business and any affiliate companies, documented proof of contribution, signed loan and security agreements, a list of equipment and or vehicles owned, titles, registration certificates, and US DOT numbers for trucking companies, any applicable licenses, license renewal forms, permits, or hauling authority forms, descriptions of all real estate owned and or leased by the company, documented proof of transfers of assets either to and from the company or its owners over the past 2 years, schedules of salaries, list of all employees, job titles, and dates of employment, proof of citizenship, audited financial statements for the past 3 years, trusted agreements held by any owner claiming disadvantaged status, and a list of product lines carried or a list of distribution equipment owned or leased. Required document for DBE certification continued. The resume should be detailed for each principal owner and manager of the company. The personal net worth statement should be signed and notarized by each socially and economically disadvantaged individual applying for DBE certification. Here is what the personal net worth statement looks like. There are several sections that highlight various assets and liabilities required to be identified by the applicants. It should be noted that this form should be notarized, signed and dated. Federal tax returns for the past 3 years, including all schedules and attachments, are required for all individuals claiming social and economic disadvantage. Signed and dated federal tax returns for the last 5 years, including all schedules and attachments, are required. The tax return should also be included for any other firms that the socially and economically disadvantaged owners have ownership in. Document proof of contribution. Acceptable forms of documented proofs of contribution include copies of canceled checks, loan agreements that show the owner's assets as collateral, proofs of purchase of equipment from the owners, evidencing that those purchases came from their personal funds, signed loan and security agreements. If applicable, any loan agreement or security agreements in the company's name should be provided. List of equipment and/or vehicles owned or leased. A list of all equipment owned and leased by the company should be provided. Titles, registration certificates, and US DOT numbers for each truck. For trucking companies, the titles and/or registration of vehicles owned by the company should be provided. In addition, trucking companies are required to submit the US DOT number for each truck owned and operated. Licenses, license renewal forms, permits, and hauling authority forms. Depending on the nature of the business, professional licenses, business licenses, any applicable certificates or permits, and for trucking companies, hauling authority forms should be provided in supplement to the application. Descriptions of all real estate owned or leased by the firm. Any signed lease agreement between a lessor, a lessee, including the term of the lease and the dollar amount for the space. If the home is being used as a primary business, please provide a copy of the tax bill or deed. Documented proof of transfers of assets to or from the company and/or owners over the past 2 years. If applicable, any agreements reflecting the transfer, along with proofs of payment and documentation reflecting the sale of the assets, should be provided. If stock has been sold, please provide an updated stock ledger and/or stock certificates. Schedules of salaries. Copies of W-2 forms for the last 3 years for all officers, managers, owners, and directors of the firm should be provided. List of all employees, job titles, and dates of employment. List of all employees with respective titles and dates of employment should be provided. Proof of citizenship. Acceptable forms of citizenship include copy of the applicant's birth certificate, passport, or permanent residency card. Audited financial statements for the last 3 years. The last 3 years of income statements and balance sheets should be provided. Trusted agreements held by any owner claiming disadvantaged status. If applicable, copy of the trust agreement created by the disadvantaged owners should be provided, including a schedule of all attachments contained within the trust. List of product lines carried and a list of distribution equipment owned and/or leased. If applicable, supplier and/or manufacturer should provide a brochure or catalog reflecting the products produced by the business or sold by the business, along with a lease for the facilities where those products are produced or sold. Company structure and additional DBE requirements. Depending on the structure of the company, there may be additional documents required to be submitted in addition to the application. For S Corps or traditional C Corps, we request the official articles of incorporation, both sides of all stock certificates, current stock ledger, any shareholder agreements, and minutes of all shareholder and board of director meetings, and the company's bylaws. For limited liability companies, we ask for articles of an organization and the operating agreement. For limited liability partnerships, we request the articles of organization and a partnership agreement. And for sole proprietorships, we ask for a registered assumed name certificate, and we also ask that you provide us with an employee identification number for the company. The certification process. To begin the application process, please apply online at www.cta.dbesystem.com. Once there, you will complete both the vendor application and also a DBE application. We ask that you upload all the supporting documentations into the B2G system. Applications will be received and assigned once submitted. Once received and assigned, please look out for any updates. The typical process for review of an application takes about 90 days. This includes the review, a site visit, and final determination. If there are any additional information required, the firm will be contacted. Please note that the 90-day window does not start until all of the documentation required to review the file from beginning to end has been received. Finally, await CTA's decision via email and mail. Once you're certified, now what? Once a firm is certified as a DBE, it will be recognized by PACE, Metro, IDOT, and also the City of Chicago. The firm will be listed in the Illinois Unified Certification Program, or Illinois UCP for short, directory. This directory is public and allows prime contractors to search for DBEs and display all firms currently certified, including NACE codes, specialties, and IDOT's districts in which the firms have indicated they are available for work. Once you're certified as a DBE, it is suggested that you attend outreach and network events in order to inform contractors about your business and also to inform them of your DBE certification. We suggest that as your firm grows and completes projects, to apply for expansions of NACE codes. Also, apply for CTA's SBE program or DBE certification in another state. If you have any questions or would like to get in contact with a member of the diversity staff, please scan the QR code. Thank you for your time. I look forward to reviewing your application.